You're watching KTUU, Channel 2, Anchorage, Alaska's news source. And now, the 5 o'clock report with Maria Downey.
How the state of the university is affected by the state of the budget. Good evening, everyone. Today in Fairbanks, University of Alaska President Jim Johnson addressed the many concerns the system is facing in light of the proposed budget cuts and the loss of accreditation for some programs. He also shared good news about research accolades. Channel 2's Kristen Durand has more from the watch party held here in Anchorage.
President Johnson delivered his State of the University address with a message that the university is worth the investment from the state, despite some of the challenges it's facing.
Now, I'm the first to admit we're not perfect, and no doubt we will be making significant changes in the coming months and years. But there is no other cornerstone in this state more successful than the University of Alaska in creating success for Alaskans.
Dozens of faculty, staff, and students gathered in the Consortium Library on the Anchorage campus to hear President Johnson's address. He emphasized the wide range of academic offerings at UA, along with world-class research that brings in $6 from out of state for every dollar invested. He also touched on the challenges due to proposed budget cuts, the lingering recession, and declining population over the past 6 years. On top of that, U of A losing accreditation for some of its educational programs.
The most important thing is that UAA achieved its reaffirmation of its main accreditation through the Northwest Council on Colleges and Universities, and President Johnson mentioned that. Yes, we do have some challenges in a few of our programs in the School of Education, but the Board of Regents will make a decision next month and we'll have a pathway forward.
President Johnson did praise UAA for certain accolades, including the fact that a student at the Anchorage campus was the recipient of a Rhodes Scholarship to pursue a master's at Oxford, and highlighted UAA's Arctic Domain and Awareness Center accomplishing $13.4 million in research supporting the U.S. Coast Guard over the past 5 years. Reporting in Anchorage, Kristen Durand, Channel 2 News.
I'm Derek Minnemeyer, live here in downtown Anchorage, where a group of community organizations are rallying against the governor's, quote, corporate-sponsored roadshow, as well as his proposed budget for fiscal year 2020. Now, the so-called coalition of community groups called Save Our State is hosting these protests across the state, caravanning with the governor's crew, making every scheduled stop. That includes yesterday in Kenai, here in Anchorage today. They'll be in Nome tomorrow and Fairbanks on Thursday, and then back to our neck of the woods at Everett's in the Mat-Su on the 29th. And Maria, we will have more on this rally coming up at 6 o'clock on the news hour. Right now, back to you in the station.
All right, thanks, Derek. We'll see you then. Well, the governor's budget roadshow, as you can see, is coming to Alaska's largest city this evening. Channel 2's political reporter Sean McGuire sat down with the governor today and heard about plans for education.
Hi, Maria. The Governor's Budget Roadshow has been overshadowed in part by those who have helped to organise it. Conservative advocacy group Americans for Prosperity have been a big part of these events, leading to some protests against restrictions on how people speak. This afternoon, the governor said these are just one of many different events explaining his budget to Alaskans. He also says he's talking regularly with legislators and that the administration is busy working on an education plan. They'll be ready to be released publicly in around a week.
Well, it would be an omnibus bill, and we're working with stakeholders. We're working with legislators. We're going around soliciting their ideas on how they would like to see education changed, education improved. And once we get a framework for a bill, we'll be more than happy to sit down with the media and have more of a conversation.
Maria, other events led by the governor and the administration on the budget will be held in Fairbanks, Nome, and the Mat-Su Valley this week. Maria?
All right, thanks, Sean. The governor says he plans to meet today with the Chief Justice of the Alaska Supreme Court regarding a dispute over judicial nominations.
The question is there a way to broaden that list, especially going into the future? Because there are a lot of qualified applicants for these positions. We just want to have a discussion as to how narrow that list is going to be and how broad it can be.
In an interview with the Alaska Public Media today, he says he agrees he has to pick from the list of candidates advanced by the Alaska Judicial Council. Dunleavy last week filled one Palmer Superior Court seat, but refused to fill a second. Well, searchers are looking for a snow machiner missing in southwest Alaska. On Sunday afternoon, Alaska State Troopers were notified that 48-year-old Timothy Beebe of Quinnahock was overdue. He had left the village of Eek at about 7 p.m. the night before, traveling to Quinnahock on a blue Polaris snow machine. So far, all air and ground searchers have failed to locate Beebe. Anyone with information is asked to contact troopers. Well, the streets and sidewalks are clearing as we see some March sunshine, and Jackie has the forecast for the rest of the week. Jackie.
Well, it's looking good out there. In fact, I took off my studded snow tires today.
Jinxed us again, Jackie.
Of course, considering the forecast. So yesterday's high temperature of 48 actually tied our record daily high from 1970. Now our high so far today is 47, so we're 3 degrees from tying a record. It would be 50 degrees on this date from 1984. So it may not happen, but we will see a nice evening for much of south central Alaska. Anchorage, overnight lows 28 to 35, mostly clear through the evening, variable clouds picking up overnight, and then back to the nice March weather for the rest of the week. Now, here's the thing, isolated snow showers, a slight possibility on Thursday night. So it was kind of a shift in seasons for me today since I removed those studded tires. There's quite a few comments on the Channel 2 Weather Team Facebook page about it. You can see it all there if you want to. We'll have more on the forecast later.
A lawsuit spurred by problems at the Alaska Psychiatric Institute took a step forward in Anchorage Superior Court today. Channel 2's Grant Robinson has the latest from the courtroom.
API is supposed to serve multiple functions. While it has inpatient treatment, it's also responsible for conducting psychiatric evaluations on people when the court orders it. But because API hasn't been able to operate at full capacity, people have been waiting for that evaluation in jail cells and emergency rooms. Today, a leader at WellPath, the company that's taking over management at API, took the stand. He described details of WellPath's plan to get the hospital back to full capacity, but when the judge asked what plan he had for addressing the people waiting for that evaluation, he said so far there is no plan.
So it may not be until September 1st that WellPath has a plan for the people who are in these emergency rooms and in jail facilities?
I think in conjunction with the state, we'll have a plan well before that.
Have you begun those discussions?
Not officially, no.
After Gentoli testified, the state called one more witness, and this case is now nearing its end. Closing arguments are scheduled for next month.
The nation's highest court says an Alaska moose hunter can rev up his hovercraft in search of moose. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court limited the National Park Service's authority to enforce laws and regulations on state-owned rivers in Alaska. Justices held unanimously that the Park Service cannot enforce a ban on hovercrafts on rivers that run through national conservation areas. It's a victory for hunter John Sturgeon, who was ordered off the Nation River in the Yukon-Charlie Rivers National Preserve in northeast Alaska back in 2007. 3 park rangers told him it was illegal to operate the hovercraft. Well, the trails are emerging from the winter snowpack, and Jackie's at the Weather Center with the very latest. Jackie.
That's right. We're rapidly losing snowpack, not just here in the Anchorage area, but a large portion of south central Alaska. Still more winter, though, in other parts of the state. We'll go through that in just a moment. We'll see a pretty nice evening here locally. And you know what? Because of the clearing, I checked the air quality report. It was still considered good, but they should be updating that again. Skycam 2 showing us a nice look at the beautiful March sky out there with a current temperature of 45 degrees here in Midtown and expansive high pressure. It's going to be providing sunshine not only to south central but out of southwest Alaska. We see that storm system that's now moved on, a lot of clearing. Now some sections of the interior as well as the Brooks Range northwest corner will still see some hangers on as far as winter weather warnings and even advisories still. Now it's for the upper Kobuk and Noatak valleys as well as into the Brooks Range. That's a winter weather advisory, winter storm warning, and then high surf advisories across north and western coasts, western coast that is, with the levels about 3 to 5 feet above normal high tides. But with the passage of that storm system, now they get a bit of a break. A little sunshine will be passing through. Now, there is a developing area of cloud cover that will drift across the south central area as well. That's why I mentioned those isolated chance of snow showers. But really, the storm track is over through the Aleutians. It really kind of, the main storm center's circulation stays over toward the Kamchatka Peninsula, but the cloud cover will be associated with it, will kind of stream up and over that ridge of high pressure that will encompass much of the state of Alaska over the next several days. Still, no more travel advised. It's worth mentioning again that Bethel Search and Rescue, as well as village search groups along the Kuskokwim River, are asking people to stay off those river systems at this point in the year. 44 in Fairbanks, and it has warmed up along the Arctic slope. They're into the 20s. We go to 36 in Kotzebue, 40s stretching through Bethel, down through the Aleutians, and then 50s over Panhandle locations, and a mild day for much of South Central. That sunshine is really helping to perk up those temperatures. It's 52 in Seward, 57 degrees out of Cordova, but Yakutat right now at 58. Now for our forecast, we may not see those types of temperatures just yet, but things are slowly warming up and the sun is going to return. Should be some nice March weather. Now at times during the day, you'll see some variable cloud cover, turn to mostly cloudy skies, but then we'll be back to some partly sunny conditions. So I think it's going to be pretty nice here in the next couple of days. A windy one out of Whittier, though. Winds out of the west, 10 to 20, gusting to 30 tonight, but really tapering off tomorrow, becoming just 5 miles per hour out of the west for your Wednesday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast in the Anchorage area. A nice day, more spring sunshine, a slight chance of some showers into the Thursday night, early Friday morning time frame. But with temperatures like that, Maria, it'll melt off just like that.
Very good. Thank you so much, Jackie. Well, a debut musical theater event. That's a first for Anchorage. A preview when we come back. Mike Ross joins us now with a preview of a story coming up tonight in the News Hour. Mike.
Maria, tonight at 6, have you ever eaten something and had a bad reaction? It happened to me with lobster. Well, something like hives or itching or swelling, if that happens, it's important to know if you're truly allergic to it. We'll have some tips on how to tell if it's really a food allergy or something else. That's in our 2-Year Health Report coming up tonight on the News Hour.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike. I think we've all had those allergies and reactions. Well, that's it for the 5 o'clock report. NBC Nightly News starts in just a moment. We leave you tonight with a look outside and all this daylight. It is so encouraging that spring is here. We'll see you back here at 6 for the News Hour.